This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, all, and welcome again. Hi, guys. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yesterday we talked about creating and configuring your AWS account. So I hope everybody has created their account, but if not, then please create it so that you can do a practice on that. Next thing we talked about AWS data centers and regions, how many data centers they have across the globe, and you can choose the region which is nearby to your user location, so that there should not be any latency problem. The connectivity between the region through public internet, and the connectivity between the availability zones or the data centers is with the private network. We also talked about the AWS pricing. We checked the calculator, how we can calculate any cost related to any service, because it is required to be, if you are going to create anything, you must be aware about the cost. Now then then we check about the support plans, how many support plans we have, and what is the advantages of each support plan. So if you are taking the enterprise, then AWS is giving you everything, every support, your support for your business critical application, but it is costing you more. In business plan, you would be not getting the support for business critical application, but for your production servers. And in developer plan, you don't get support for your production systems or business critical applications. And in basic plan, which we are using for our testing or practicing or our own purpose, that is the basic one, and it doesn't have any kind of technical support. You will get only service limit increase and account related information and the support. Now we'll talk about the AWS billing and the cost management. Earlier we talked about how important it is cost for any organization, right? We check the support plans. Now we are going to check how we are, you know, getting the bills, how we are, how we can pay them. You know, if you are responsible for your organization to the pay bill, and you are part of finance team, then you are going to pay. Otherwise there is separate team which pays the bill. We are not who are paying the bills for our organization's account. I'm not talking about our personal one. For the organization one, we are not responsible for paying the bills, but we are responsible for checking the bills. We can check the bills and we can analyze which service is costing more. How? Then we can suggest client or users to minimize the cost if possible. We can also check by that if there is any service which is running and is not required, then we can stop that. So billing information is very important. First one is AWS free tier, which is for the 12 months you aware, and we also check like from which site we can check which are the services which are free and the services which are paid. AWS cost and usage report. When we go to the console, right, one important thing, always remember, check your relevant region, the region in which you have created your services, right? Because I have seen many times people who are new to the environment, what they do, they create service, for example, in North Virginia, and they check somewhere in Ohio or Cape Town, something like this. Okay, so always remember that you need to check the services in which region you have created, because you can't find services in every region, because regions are basically locations having data centers. If you have created your service in one data center, you can't find that service in another data center, right? The services which are as per the region are called regional service. Like EC2 means servers, because we are creating servers on a particular region, on a particular data center. That's why they are called regional service. The services which are not based on region are called global services. For example, if I go to the billing dashboard, you see that this become global here, right? It changed to global and all regions are grayed out here. Means billing does not require region selection. Billing is re- required and it is relevant for your account, not for your region, right? It gives you billing information of your all region across all your account, right? So you can check from here, like Cost Explorer. I can see this, like how much bill I'm getting for this month, right? I'm based in India, so it is converting to my, currency. It is also saying like this is the bill of my current month, right? It is giving me the exchange rate with the US dollar. This is the month to date spent by service. We can check like which service cost me how much, right? EC2 EC2 servers cost me $1.85. KMS services, key management service cost me 0.92, CloudWatch 0.38, config 0.32, other services no cost, and there would be a tax also. I have told you like in my account you can give your billing address, right? Giving the billing address is very important. Why? Because you would be getting tax as per your country, right? If I'm in India, my tax is 18% of the cost. Somebody in Australia, their tax is 10% of the cost. So if you select a wrong country or something like this, then you would be getting a different GST, or I can say a tax for that. So it's important to have correct country name in your account information so that you will get relevant tax for that, right? It is showing me the forecast as well for the current month. It is expected to have this much for this month, although I am near about to end of this month, so it is giving me a forecast like you would be cost more about $4.26 this month. Previous month was 4.1, and sorry, this month, which is current, not forecast, this is exact, and the previous month was $6.13, right? So this much cost for the services I have used. Now if you go to your bills, you can check in detail, right? In suppose I got 0.38 for CloudWatch. When you click here, it will tell you in which region you are getting the bill, from which region as well. How it is helpful? For example, you have the CloudWatch cost of you know 0.38. When you click here, you got to know that you have CloudWatch services in this two region. You have created CloudWatch service in this two region, and you think that okay, my service CloudWatch is not relevant to Mumbai or North Virginia, then you can go to delete that. It may be possible that you have created that by mistake, so you can go and check that. It is giving you all detail like how it calculated your cost, right? it it is telling you like 0.10 per alarm, and there would be 0.922 alarms, right? Something like this. So it is giving a type of, you know, a detailed analysis also for your cost. I have used Lambda in Mumbai region, right? I have used SNS in Mumbai region, SQS Mumbai region, storage service in these two regions. So it is giving me the cost accordingly. So it is also telling me how much GST is there to calculate it. So this is important to analyze your cost. Now, this is the bill detail by the service. There is another tab says bill details by account, although I have only one account. Organization who have multiple account, and if this is your master account, we will talk about it, like which is master account and which are child account. What happens, like you can make a account as a master account and all other accounts as a child account. So you can link your child accounts to a master account, and from the master account you check the bills of all your accounts here. Okay, so something like this, you will get the other options of your accounts and you can check your bill by here. So what happens in case of the master account? The master account is responsibility of a financial team, right? They check the finance related information. They find okay, this particular account have this much of the cost, and it is, they can also ask to you like why the previous month bill for the, for example, CloudWatch was this much but this month has been increased. So it is your responsibility to explain them. You have to analyze why there is more bill for that particular service, right? Because they are responsible for justifying the cost, and they may get a doubt or they may confuse like why we are getting this much in this month but that was very less in previous month. So by analyzing the bills you can check like why there is a discrepancy or something like this. You can check like in previous month we had uh, this much amount, now it has been increased. You can get your invoices from here, invoices of previous month, right? Okay, there is one important, or I can say a very useful feature with the AWS to set your budget. So what budgets do, what budgets do, they create a alarm for you. Whenever you cross the particular budget limit, they will send you the information, they will inform you so that you can check that, right? Like I have created my budget, I have created my budget of $4. So whenever there is a increase in amount, or if my uh, account budget account cost meets to $4, I would get a notification. So you can create the budget for your financial team as well, or for yourself as right. For your personal account, definitely you can do. So for that, you, what you can do, you can go to the create budget. The, it is related to the cost budget, usage budget, whatever, right? So cost budget is important, you want to know the cost, so click on cost budget and set your budget. You can give a name, it is a monthly budget or what, Okay, so I am giving this, it is a test budget. Period would be monthly, quarterly, or annually. You are getting what frequency you need for this, right? I should want a monthly budget. Okay, it is a recurring or expiring. You want to expire it, you want to stop it, or you want it to be happens every month. I'm setting as a recurring. Start month would be July or August. Like July has been gone, so I can set for August, right? Now I can give you the amount here, like what would be the my budget amount, what should be that. it all it is also saying me that your last month's cost was $6, about $6. Now I want to set this as a $6. Okay, so I'm keying is as, sorry, okay, $6. Configure alert. Now this is a budget set. Now you want to configure the alert. Alert means when you got your, you know, cost equals to $6, you want a mail or you want a alert, right? So you want to set alarms on an actual cost or forecasted cost. Means it is asking if actually your cost reached to $6 or if there is a possibility to reach to $6. We have seen in previous, a page, like there is a stuff like your current budget and your forecast budget, right? Sorry, forecast cost. So I'm setting it to my actual cost. Now absolute value I'm giving means if it is relate actually, sorry, if 100% of the my budget account, means this will notify following contact which I'm going to give here when actual cost is greater than the $6. When my budget reaches above it, it will it will send me the notification. Then I can give my email address, right? More email address you want to add here, you can add, and confirm budget, right? It will give you a little bit summary so that you can check you are not doing anything wrong. You're Then you can click on create. Okay, so it was of my previous budget. So now I have created my test budget and it is of course, so whenever my cost would reach greater than $6, I would be getting a notification on my mail ID, right? I have given the mail address there. So this is also very important. You can check your budget and you can, why it is personally useful for you, because it may possible that you create a service and you forget to delete that. So if you set this, you will get a notification for a particular cost and you able to check by your cost explorer, and then you can go to delete that, right? You can check like why it is happening, what the issue, right? And you can go to that particular service and in that region and delete it if it is not required. So it personally, for your personal use, it is very useful. Always set budget so that you won't cross your limit, you won't get much cost. For example, working on your personal account, if in any way, you know if any unfortunately you get more bill and you know you don't want to pay or something like this, you can call customer support. You can ask them, you can request them, like I was doing testing, I was practicing, and it happens to me, unfortunately I was not aware, can you please you know uh, cancel that or something like this. Then it may possible that I have seen that they can, they can cancel that. Because if you are doing testing and you are practicing, and this is not your organization account, then they can cancel your bills, and they can waive off. So you can ask for that. Any problem, any issue regarding this costing and how we can check and something like this, please let me know.
I got a question. So I know what you're showing us with the billing and everything. So this would be part of our job, obviously, right? But like, where does it fall in when we get something to work on? Like, would this be like something the client will request, right? So we would have to obviously let them know about the cost and all these things. So would this be part of our regular job also, like doing this on daily basis?
No, it would be your job not to do on a daily basis, but you may require it to do on a monthly basis. But it may. Why may? Because your financial team is responsible for this. They are checking the bills, they are who are paying the bills, right? So it may happens that when they are paying the bills, they it is their responsibility to analyze the services. It may happens that they have found that in previous month the cost of a particular service was less, now the cost has increased. So they may ask to you why it happened. You can also analyze by previous invoices, like, okay, yes, it happened. Then you go to service and check, like, what are the new services created, why it is giving you more cost. So you may require to help your financial team by seeing all these things, right? You It may happens like financial team ask you to create budget for themselves, right? It may happens like they are not technically so strong, or they are not aware, they can ask you for that. But what is here is to you can analyze like which services are costing how much. But this would be not I can say you know main part of your job. It would be more related to the financial team. But you should aware like how you can check that, how you can check the costing and something like this.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Any other question, guys? Okay, thank you very much. And okay, the next thing we are going to have is IAM service. So now we will start learning the services of AWS, the technical things related to the AWS. The first one is IAM. IAM stand for Identity and Access Management. What it has the permission of users, permission of services, so that you know a required task can be done, right? For example, you have your console here, right? Suppose this is my production account. Now I want to give the access to my teammate, or I am owner of my organization, or the director or manager, and I want to give the permission to log into this account to someone else. So what I can do here, I can create users. I can create users on AWS console and give them user ID and password to log into this account. It may be possible that I don't want to give permission to check all services. I may give them permission to check only servers or to check only S3 bucket, something like this, as per their requirement. Because you know that in an organization there are different teams. There is a DBA team, there is application team, storage network, something like this. So if, because you know you can create service related to the database, but database will be managed by database administrator only. You are not going to manage their databases. So there may be possibility like database team needs access on this account. So for that, what you can do, you can create access for them. You can create a user ID and password for them so that they can log in. So I didn't, for checking any service, right? There is service option here. Find any service. You type IAM, you will get option here. You can click here. Okay. You can also see like when I go to the IAM, my region would be not be there. It is still global. Why? Because IAM is also a global service. If you create any user via IAM, then it can log into any of the region. IAM is not related to the region. If you create a user, it will log into your console and it can go to any region. So, what are the important things here in identity and access management console? First one is groups, then users, then roles and policies. These four stuff are important and you need to work on this in your day-to-day activities. Apart from this, all other things you may require, but these are very important, right? So if we take, okay, let's create a user. There are some users already created, please ignore them. Okay, so I click on add user. I'm giving a username, right? Username means somebody has joined me, and it name is anything. I can give test, sorry, test user. If you want to add one more, click here. Now when you go down, you can see there are two types of access for that particular user. One is programmatic access, another one is AWS management console access. This is my console. If I am checking this, I am getting a, a password for this user. If I am checking this, I am getting a secret key and access key for this user, right? So a user can have two things. One is console user ID and password. Next one is access and secret key. Sorry. Okay. Console user ID and password is to log into the console. Access and secret key is to log into the and used for AWS CLI. AWS command line interface. And this is for, we can say, AWS graphical interface or this console. Got that? Any issue understanding these terms, please let me know. So you can create two things for user. One for console user ID and password, and second is access and secret key. You can click on both and you can click on either, right? So for example, this test user need both programmatic access as well, and you can see that it is saying that enable access key ID and secret access key for the AWS API, CLI, SDK, and other development tools. The tools from which you want to access the AWS components, AWS services via some programs or script, you can use access key and secret key. But if you want to log into the console, you need user ID and password, right? For any program, you need programmatic access. For your console, you need console access. I click here. Now it will ask me whether I want auto generated password or custom password. Auto generated, it will generate by itself, and custom password, I can give anything I required. So I can give test at the rate 123. Okay. Now you can uncheck this box if you want user to change password in next login. I don't want, I can uncheck. Now the second thing is permission, right? You click on permission. When you go up, you get option attach existing policies directly. You can give permission to the user by attaching a policy directly. So the new term comes policies. So policy is nothing, just set of permissions. Okay. For example, I want to give this user EC2 access. I click here, type here EC2. I will get all related to EC2. It is saying me Amazon EC2 full access or read only access. It may happen that this user is not required to launch servers, create servers, terminate servers, right? So I can give him read only access, so that he can read only, means he can see only, he can't do anything. Okay. And if this user is required to have full access, then I can give EC2 full access. So this user would be getting the full access on EC2 service only, means servers only. He can't check any other service. So let's check it and create on next. Sorry. Okay. So now there is one important thing across all AWS services is tag. Tag is always optional, but it is good to have tags. Why? Because tags are basically labels. You are giving a label to some service, right? So it is also important for your financial team or for yourself to analyze the service and the cost, how it happens. Like for example, I am tagging this user with a team. Okay, so I'm giving team, and suppose this is a this user is a part of DBA team. I'm giving DBA or financial team or HR team, anyone, right? So this will easily show me like this user is a part of HR team. So these are type of labels you can give to the service. It is optional but always recommended and very helpful. Next is review. Sorry. Now you get a summary like this. You created username, test user, programmatic access, and console access. Both you are looking. Custom password you set. You don't want user, no permission boundary. This permission you have given and the tag you have set. Click on create user. Now, when you click on create user, you will get this page. It is very important to understand, like, you can download the CSV from here. Okay, you can click here and download a CSV. Okay, always download a file like this when you create a user or something like this, because if you close this tab, you won't get that again. Means if I go to the test user, right, I won't be able to get the secret key again for that particular user. I would able to know that this user have this access key, but what is the secret key I won't able to find out, and AWS also cannot help, because AWS says they don't take your secret key with them because of the security issues. They are not taking your secret key with them. So if I want to check the access key, I can click on security credential and I can see, okay, this user have this access key. I can create one more, but I cannot have the secret key of this access key if I would have not downloaded that. If I would not have downloaded this file, I would not able to get this again. So always remember this stuff. Don't, you know, close that particular page without downloading or without copying access key secret key for the users. It may be possible that unfortunately you have done it. So what you can do, suppose you lost the secret key. Now you won't able to get this again. What you can do now, you just create a new access key. When you create a new access key, you will get a new key here. So you can give this key now to the user, and this is the corresponding secret key. Oops. And this is now not relevant because the combination of the secret key of this particular access key is now gone. Now you have to use this access key and secret key. Okay, close it because you have saved. Now you can see that you have two secret key. You can delete which is not required, so you can click here to delete. Okay, so you got this information from here. What are other important stuff? Console password. You can see in the user security credentials the console password. You can manage. Manage means you can change something like this. You want to disable. You want uh, you know want any other now auto generated, or you are setting again. If user forget his password and he comes to you to reset the password, you can buy. You can check by. Uh, you can change by this. If you don't want, then you can cancel. One important thing is assign MFA device. MFA means multi-factor authentication. If you click here on a manage, you will get option of virtual MFA device. You click on continue. You will get a QR code to scan. So you can download a Google Authenticator in your mobile and you can have this to scan for your device and you will get the MFA. MFA is like, it is giving you a type of course. You may have seen that installed for your personal use or something like this. So when giving the values, you will able to log into the console. But it there may be a question like, you are doing this, right? How your user can do it? So you will give your user permission to set the MFA. You will give MFA permission for your user and they able to do that. Okay, now we have seen that we got a console link as also. So what I will do, I will try to check that when you give this link to the user, which is also in your Excel sheet. Okay, so this is the complete now. Password you already set. So that's why it is not showing you, because you have set it. This is your custom password. Now you will go here. You will check by login. So let me open a different browser for that. See, this is the type of interface that user will get. It is giving me a account ID. It may happen that that user have access on some other account as well. Then he can change from here. Otherwise, he can log in from this console. Now the username was test, what I have given, and the password I have given is test@123. Now I click on sign in, and this user will get into the console. Okay, you got that? Now you can see that this user is logged in. This user is logged in test@. This is my account number, and user can see any region, because this IAM user is not limited to any region. You can click on any region to check. If you remember, we have given the user the permission to see the EC2 services. So when user will click on EC2, he or she will able to access this because he got full access here. Right? Can click on launch instance. For creating instance means he can create the instance. He is getting full access. No error. Right? Okay. Now to test what I'm doing, I'm changing the permission of the user. I'm to test user. I go to the permission. Okay. This is the current permission user have. I'm deleting this permission or detaching this permission from the user. Okay. Now you've seen that an error occurred. An error occurred for fetching instance receives. You are not authorized to perform this operation because I have revoked the permission from this user. When I revoke the permission, it is giving me error. Got that? Any issue, any concern so far, please let me know. Are we good?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. Now, if you want to delete the user, you can check it and delete it. When you refresh this, it will logged out, and this would be not applicable anymore because you have deleted the user. Okay, your authentication information incorrect. So if your user leaves the organization, you can delete it. Okay, Now some important stuff related to the access and secret key. You are seeing that I have created few users. You can see the key age 77 days, 70 days, 58 days, something like this. Right? Last activity means when I use these keys to logged in or doing anything. It is always recommended to rotate your key after 90 days. So it is a type of compliance. You have to follow that. How you can rotate your keys? Rotating keys doesn't mean anything, just to delete and create a new key. For example, this Boto 3 demo is a user. Okay, when I click here, suppose for the tag, I edit a tag, I give a label like who is the contact information, because by seeing the Boto 3 hyphen demo, I won't be able to know who is the contact person for this account, right? Maybe the contact one is James at the rate gmail.com. I'm giving an example. It is moreover related to the organization. So if you are working for any organization, it would be the mail ID of that particular person, right? For example, save changes. Now I'm getting a information here like this user has its key more than 90 days. Suppose 91 days, 92 days, right? I will contact James. I will ask him like you should rotate your key. We will give permission to rotate key, otherwise James can ask us to create a new key. He will ask us to create a new key. So what we will do, we'll go to the security credentials again. Okay, we will create access key, new one. You will copy or paste this one or download the CSV file. Okay, suppose I have copy pasted it. This is the access key and this is the secret key for the James. I close it. Okay, now you can see that created days are two now. One is 30th of one is of 13/5/2020, and next one which I have created 37/2020. So this is the new one, right? What I can do, I can give this access key and secret key to the James by any encrypted mail, and once James confirm that he is able to use it, I will delete the previous one. Now when again I go to the users, I refresh it, and now you can see that access key age is showing today. Why? Because the key which was old, I have deleted that, and now the new key age is showing here, right? This is the new key. When James will use it, this NA will change to some date. Last use, because James has not used it, we haven't used this access key and secret key, that's why it is showing me NA. There may be some requirement to make this key active or inactive. You can do like this. Maybe this is a production, your production account, and this key is very important. This key is having administrator access. So what you can do, you can make inactive. Whenever you are doing something, then make it active. If it is not in use, make inactive, so that nobody can use this access key and secret key to do anything unwanted. Okay, so these are stuff which are important. You go to permission, you have the this user have the administrator access. You want to add more permission, go to add inline policy, click here. Now you got something like this, JSON or visual editor. So all permissions for the users are written in a language called JSON. JSON is a type of, you know, language we can say in which policies are written. So it's not, I'm not saying it is mandatory to learn the JSON, but you need to understand the JSON. How you can do that? If you want, check this. Okay, go to the administrator access, click here, click on JSON, right? You will get this. It is showing the effect. Effect means allow or deny. Action, what user can do. Star means it can do anything. Resource star means to any resource, whether it is EC2, any resource on the console. That's why it's called administrator access. Now, if you want to create your own policy, you can copy this, okay, and you can change accordingly. I'm giving administrator access as a example only. You can copy it, okay. You can go to add inline policy. You can click on JSON. You can paste here, and suppose you want to do action of EC2 launch, so you can do EC2 launch. You don't want this user to have the permission for doing anything, so you can put EC2 launch or use EC2 terminate, something like this, whatever you want, right? Or you want action of star means doing anything to which service? EC2. For EC2 resource, you want this users to have this. If you face any issue in writing JSON or something like this, always you can refer Google. There is no issue, there is no harm, and it is not a type of, a thing where you can feel ashamed of. Always refer Google for any help you required, but you understand the concept, right? So you can change your policy by this. Okay, I can give, when you click on review policy, okay, it is saying that it has error. So it is saying you to refer this document for this, right? So because I am giving just a random example, it is not fully uh, you know relevant, so, or I can say not as per the document, so that's why it is giving me error. So what I'm trying to tell you, like, you can create your policy by copying paste some other policy, right? You can click on policies. You have all these policies here, all the policies you need. For example, you go for EC2, okay, EC2 full access. You click here, you get the JSON for this access. So by this one, for example, you are, okay, copying this, go to your user, add inline policy, JSON, paste it. Now you see that this permission gives EC2 full access to all resources. Action on elastic load balancing on all resources, access is allowed. Suppose you want these users don't to access deny on elastic load balancing, so you can click deny. Sorry, you can write deny here. Why you are customizing this policy? Because you don't have any existing policies which says like this, right? So you can customize by your own. You want CloudWatch to be deny, you can click deny. You want IAM to be deny, you can write deny, something like this, right? So by this you can customize your policy. So once you create a new policy, it will always ask for the name. So this is the EC2 full access, but no load balancing. So that you can understand, right? So it is also giving you a type of summary. You can create policy. Sorry, this was related to no auto scaling. I have written load balancing. So by this you can attach other policies as well to this user. Any question, any issue, please let me know. Okay, thank you. Next we will check groups. So you see that I have created some groups already here. So you can create a group, new group. Group is what? Group is just collection of users. So you can create a test group, right? Click next. Now, like you can attach a policy to the user, same way you can attach policy to the group as well. For example, I am attaching a administrator access to the group. Next, create group. Now I have created this test group. It is showing me 0 users are there. Okay. So how creating a group is useful? For example, you have 4-5 members in your HR team, and you want to create, you want to give access to all those 5 members, and for that you create 5 users, but you don't want to attach policies to every user. So what you can do, you can attach the permission or the policy to a group, and you can add those users to that particular group. Then that policy will be affected and will be applicable to all users. If you are adding a user to this particular group, suppose I added this code commit, this become, so the permission which is related to this group, which is linked with this group, will be applicable to this user as well. You don't have to give permission separately to this user, because this user is part of this group, and this group have this permission. Any issue understanding this, please let me know. Okay, and there is no charge for creating users and groups in IAM console, so you can you know you may be delete this after doing practice, or you may keep them as it is, no problem. Okay, next thing is roles, right? So what are roles? Roles are required for connecting a AWS service to another service. Like, suppose your server want to connect to get. Example is your server means EC2 here. Okay, this EC2 wants to connect to your S3 bucket. S3 bucket is a S3 is a service in AWS, right? So if this server wants to connect to this bucket, then there should be role on this server which says that you have the permission to connect to the S3 bucket.
I've got a
So
question.
what
Can you just explain what is bucket, or what is a bucket?
Yeah, so I am just giving you example. I will explain in detail later. But bucket is a type of storage in Amazon AWS.
Got
Okay,
it.
so you can understand this. This is a storage. So S3, full form of S3 is simple storage, right? Service. So just to make you understand that this is a type of service. Is it good?
Yes.
Okay. So uh, suppose your EC2 or your server is want to connect to the S3 bucket, then there should be a role attached to this server which has the permission to access the bucket. We will do this practical when we launch the server and assign the role. We haven't you know learned about EC2 yet. That's why I'm giving you just a theoretical explanation here. We will, when we launch the EC2, we will be able to do it practical as well. So that's why I'm that at that time it would be more clear to you guys. So what I can do, create role. So it will ask which service I want to give this role. Here my requirement is to giving this role to a EC2. So I will click on this EC2. Next, permission. Now it will give you same type of permission which you will getting in case of policies. So again, policies are here. You click on administrator access. Next is tag. You can add the tag that you want to give this role to the EC2 so that you can understand it is not mandatory role for EC2. Now you give the role name also, EC2 test role, and create role. Right, I have created many roles here. Please ignore the role which we have created is EC2 test role. Right, so this role has been created. What permission this role have? When you click here, you will get the permission like this have administrator access. Same for like you can change the permission from here. You can add any other permission. You want to delete this permission, you can delete. So the difference between role and users and group is only that the users are access for individuals, but the roles are access to the service. Roles are required by AWS service to access some other service, and the permissions are attached to both. You can attach permission or the policy to user, and you can attach permission and policy to roles. So it is a type of security and managing these things. Amazon is giving these services, these facilities or features so that you can, you know, it may be possible that when you log into a server, you are not required to access a particular service, or you may require to access some particular service. So you can manage your permission accordingly. If that server required to have permission on S3 bucket, if that server want to send some logs, something to S3 bucket, then that server should have the permission, right? So likewise, you can give the permission to your service or to users. If user want to access anything, permission attached to the user. If any service want to access any other service, roles attached to the service, both having policies or permission. What is policy? Just permissions. Any issue, please let me know.